Okay, so on your pink sheet, there was one box that didn't have a formula in it. This is an extra formula you can write there. Can't add anything else extra to the sheet, but you can add this. You can actually use this formula that's already on the sheet. It might be a K. I don't know what this is on their sheet, but you have to do it like twice to find the constant. We're going to talk about that next week when we do Newton's law of cooling. But for today, you can just use this. Actually, I don't care on test or quiz either. It's R is if it says half-life, R is 1/2. If it says it takes, 8 days to double, then R is 2. If it says it triples every 6 hours, then R is 3. Whatever it's doing, okay? Halving, doubling, tripling. N sub 0 is the original amount. T is time, but H is the one you need to know. H is the length of the half-life, or the time it takes to double, or the time it takes to triple. Okay, give you a second to write that down, and then we'll talk about this example at the bottom. Yeah, I think if I freeze the screen and take attendance, I think that's going to be on the computer still, right? So I think I won't do that. Because it's going to show up on my screen, which is what it's actually recording, not that screen. All right, ready to talk about the example? It says, how much of a 50 milligram sample, okay, lost my cursor, there we go. Maybe. It's going to be that way. Okay, it says how much of a 50-gram sample, so that's the original amount, remains after 12 hours if it has a half-life. So the half is what it's doing. It's halving, or multiplying by half. But it doesn't do it until it hits 2.5 hours, or a multiple of that. So the half-life has to be divided by 2.5. The amount of time has to be divided by 2.5. And the time is 12 hours. Okay? In other words, if it was halving every 2 hours, it would have halved 6 times in 12 hours, right? So we could figure that out. But if it's only going every 2.5 hours, we're just going to divide the 12 by that to figure out how many times it will have divided in half. Can you type that in and see what you get? Anybody not getting about 1.8? If you type it in on an older calculator, you will have to do 12 divided by 2.5 in parentheses because they're both in the exponent. Is it working? Everybody good? All right. I had a few more examples off worksheet 7. Is that, no, 5. This is 5, right? Worksheet 5. Unless you want book questions first. Does somebody have a book question they want first? Tice here, what's up? Okay, rather than opening that, let me just see if I can glance at my book. If I open it on here, it's going to take forever. You know how fast my... Is this the question that you're asking about? Hang on. It says 4 to the log base 4 of 1. What's that going to be, guys? Just 1. It's written as an exponent sentence right now, so if I rewrite it as a log, it's log with the base, this becomes the base of something equals the exponent. Okay, the exponent goes over here, so this has to be a 1. Most people just think of it as these undo each other, but somebody else got a book problem they're stuck on?
On page 185, 18.
185, number 18. Okay, it says the distance in miles that a tornado travels is some crazy formula. I think with your calculator you'd need a bunch of parentheses to get that in there, but it says express W in terms of log D. So they want us to rewrite this as a log. All right, let's write an easy one first. If we had 8 equals 2 to the third, how would we rewrite that? Anybody helping us? Log base 2 of 8 equals 3. So this one, the D is the 8, okay? So it's log base 10 of D equals, and the answer is the exponent. Okay, so that's part A. Oh, it said to solve for W. That's why that's not the answer that I probably have. We had to keep going to get the W by itself. So if we multiply the 93 over, log base 10 is just log, right guys? We don't have to keep writing base 10. And then we'd have to add the 65 over. So we'd have 65 plus 93 log D equals W. Yep. I was like, why is that not what they have? And then it says if a tornado travels 100 miles, estimate the wind speed. We're trying to find the W, so we're going to put the 100 in here for D. So for part B, you would type 65 plus 93 log of 100, which we should be able to do in our head actually, equals W. What's log base 10 of 100, guys? 10 to what power is 100? 2. So then we'd have to do 65 plus 93 times 2. I still like the calculator. 186 plus 65 to what? 251 miles per hour is the wind speed that would cause it to travel 100 miles according to this weird formula. More? 60, 60. Okay, Bill's Trucking Service purchases a new delivery truck for $56,000. Suppose T equals log base 1 minus R, of V over P, where T represents time that has passed since purchase when given its initial price P, which means we're going to use that $56,000 as P, right? Present value V and annual rate of depreciation is R. If the truck's present value is 4,000, so that would go, or 40,000, sorry, for part A. That would go up there. It has a depreciation at a rate of 15% per year. So this would be 1 minus 0.15 in there for the whole thing. how much time has passed since its purchase to the nearest year. We're trying to find t. So we're going to have the log of base 0.85 of 40,000 divided by 56,000. On your older calculator, you'd have to type the log of 40,000 divided by 56,000. You use change of base and then divided by the log of 0.85. If you have the newer calculator, you can use that log base thing. Yeah, they have about 2 years. Is anybody else getting that? Did that come out for you, Morgan? Okay. Part B on that question says if the truck's present value is $34,000 and it's been depreciating at 10%, how much has passed? Time would be log, okay, if it's depreciating at 10%, the rate down here would be 1 minus 0.10 or 0.90 or 0.9. And it was 34,000 over 56,000. That's a 4. So see what you get then, okay? More bookwork that someone is stuck on? Yes. Sorry. I haven't perfected that quiet sneeze thing yet. Page 178, number 15, says log base 36 of the 5th root of 6. How would you rewrite that as an exponent sentence? Nope, I don't want the word log anymore. Somebody help him out? Okay, so this is just rearranging it. Then Basma said we should probably rewrite this as 6 to the 1/5 power. You okay with that? Like a cubed root is 1/3 power? Now this is a tricky one, for sure, but what power of 6 is 36? So this is 6 squared, which is then multiplied by something out here to become 6 to the 1/5. So if we get rid of all this bases, we have 2 times something equals 1/5. Yes? 1 over 10, yeah. Because we need to get rid of this, we need to do half of each side. So we get 1/10. I didn't put one like that on the quiz because everybody got it wrong last year without a calculator. Can I talk about a couple more problems on the worksheet 5? How far did I get yesterday? I don't remember what I talked about. Did I talk about 2? No? Okay, on number 2, I have it set up here because this always confuses everybody. It says suppose the average rate of inflation is 3% per year for the next 20 years. That just means the formula only works for 20 years. It's not part of the question, okay? So estimate the cost of a $20,000 car 5 years from now. So it's going to grow 3% for 5 years. That's all I got to do. But then it says how long until it hits, for how many years will it take for a home that sells for 100,000 to reach 125,000? We can do this by graphing at this point, and I've kind of put down a window that works here. Can somebody tell me how to do this? If we don't graph, does anybody remember from last year? Do you remember how to solve that? We divide first. So if we take 125,000 divided by 100,000, yeah, I can never write enough zeros. Is that enough zeros?
Yeah.
So we have 1.25 equals 1.03 to the x. Yeah, then you take the log of both sides, and it doesn't matter which, I only left room for an ln, so I'm going to use that one. It doesn't matter which logs, same as you do, long as you do the same on both sides. Easy for me to say. All right, we're going to move the x out front. Remember that from yesterday? So we have the log of 1.25 equals x times the log of 103. And then we're just going to divide those. But you can do it by graphing at this point. That's actually a preview of what we're doing next week, okay? Solving equations, we're going to talk about Monday, the basics, and then some more on Wednesday and Thursday. Tuesday's the quiz without a calculator for part of it, and then the other part is using the finance and the formulas and stuff, okay? It's about 34 points and 30 questions, I think. Should go pretty, I mean, it's not super long. You do have to do one log graph and one exponential graph. I don't ask about increasing, decreasing. I do ask domain and range. Okay. Five A is really, did I not talk about this one yesterday? I couldn't remember how far I got. Yeah. This is icky. Just, it's a big long mess unless you're going to graph it. This is the equation, but you should be able to do B as just a calculator typing question. But I want to go through real quick. This is a half like I just had you put on your formula sheet, okay? So 14.7 is being reduced by half for every time you go up 3.6 miles. So it's to the power of x over 3.6. And then we talked yesterday about Mile High Stadium is where they play. So we put a 1 for 1 mile in here. A is messy. You'd either have to do by graphing or what we just practiced that we really haven't learned yet. So you can skip A if you want. If you do A, it comes out like 6.7 or something, and then you have to change it to feet. So you got to multiply by 5,280. I'm going with, we'll skip it. Six is a half-life question. Can anybody help me set up 6? 4,000 is original, then what? Half. X over 14, because it only halves every time you get to 14 days. So here it's going to halve twice. Okay, 28 divided by 14. So the first time it halved, it'd be down to 2,000. Then it would halve again, and it would be down to 1,000. So I'm thinking that should be the answer. Should be able to type it in, but should be it halved twice. All right, but 100 days isn't divisible by 14, right? So that's why you have to just type it in your calculator. Sounds good. And then for this one, you'd be doing it by graphing or taking the log and all that of both sides. If you do this one by graphing, I think I did like 0 to 10. So I did, okay, not 100, 10. I did y1 is 4,000 times 1/2 to the x over 14. And then y sub 2 is 1. So you're going to get a line down here at 1. And then I think I did like 0 to 200. It took a long time before it came down and crossed that line. See if that works, guys. If it doesn't, I can go over it on the graphing calculator. I think this is what my graph looked like. So I had 4,000, and then my window. Did you get 160 something? Okay. Everybody all right? Seven B is weird, and I don't think I put that on test or quiz. I used to put it on as extra credit. It's kind of a funny question. It says, Ken and Barbie saving up for college for their new baby Bubba. Okay. So if they start when he's born, they'll save up 18 years. So monthly payments, 12 times 18, 8% interest. Going to put $150 away every month, starting with nothing. How much would they have in the future? But then it says, well, what if they didn't want to bother with monthly payments and instead they wanted to end up at the same place, but put it all away at once the day he's born? Or maybe grandma says, you know, I'm not sure I'm going to be around in 18 years, so I'm going to put away a bunch of money right now to match what you're going to have. Okay? So to work it backwards, what I did was I left the answer from part A in my future value, but I changed my payment to 0 and solved for the present value. What would I have to put in there today to equal the same future value? 17,000 something? Okay. Like, that was a weird question, not on a test or quiz. The first part about an annuity could be, but not the second part. Someone had a question. Was it 8 or 9? No? Is there an 8? And I don't have a picture of it? Is it something we need to do, or is 8? I think it's just an annuity, right? It's like you're saving for retirement. The one that on 9 that's a little tricky is this guy. How much interest do you save? Did you figure out how to do that? It's an amazing amount of money. You want to finance your house for the least amount of time you can afford to make the payments for. I didn't get $1 million, but I think it was $100,000 or more that you saved. So this is 30 times 12, 7.5%. Present value, you're borrowing 120. You can put it in as positive or negative, doesn't matter. Your future value is 0. You're trying to find your payment. And these guys are both 12. So then it comes out. Anybody have this one? 9 something? 900 or no? 839. Did someone else get that? 839 and 05, 04, 6.05. I don't care. Yeah, it can round to 5 or 6 cents. Then if you do that amount, roughly, how much is that going to cost you? How many payments are you making, guys? 12 a year for 30 years, right? So that's a lovely number. 300 and some thousand dollars. So the house at $839 a month is $302,058. Okay, now go back and do the same question again, but change your payments to 15 years. Everything else stays the same, but this is 15 times 12. What would your payment be? 1,112. Okay, so how are you going to figure out how much that cost you total? Well, almost. 12 times what, though? 15 years. I'm just going to round it to a 4, okay? So it's dollars. So how much do you save? What do you need to do? Yeah, subtract these two amounts so that you figure out how much you saved. It's like about $102,000. Yeah. Anything else I can help with, guys? We still got about 15 minutes. Yes, Tyseer. It says, while testing the speakers for a concert, an audio engineer notices that the sound level reaches a relative intensity of 2.1 times 10 to the 8th watts per square meter. The equation D equals the log of I represents the loudness in decibels given the relative intensity I that's supposed to go in here. So if we do the log of 2.1 times 10 to the 8th, we'll get the decibels. So it's just a calculator typing question. Number 8 on the worksheet. I don't have a picture of it for some reason. It's worksheet 5, side B, number 8. Tell me, how long are they saving for retirement? So making monthly payments, right? And the interest that they're hoping to earn? Okay. And how much are they going to, a present value would be 0. And the payment would be, how much are they putting away? Does it say that? Okay. And the future value is what we want to find. And the payments and the compoundings would just be 12. Okay? Yep, in the app. Uh-huh. Did you grab the worksheet? That's okay. It would be very basic, okay? It will either say y equals 3 to the x or So then you could have y equals log base 3 of x as a possibility, or y equals 2 to the x, or y equals log base 2 of x. Okay. Those are pretty much the ones that are going to be on there, because I am not going to ask, if I go 5 to the x, then only one positive point fits on there. 5 to the first is 5, 5 to the second is 25, it's way off your graph. So I'm going to pick one of those probably right there. Actually, I can tell you, you're probably going to either have those two or those two. Okay? Now, if you had, let me do like log base 5 of x, okay? If this was the question, I would always do this first. I didn't write that very well. If you asked me to graph the log base 5 of x, I would do, I put in a 1 to this, and I get out a 5. I put in a 0, get out a 1. I put in a negative 1, I get out a 1/5. So therefore, the log base 5, I would have the ordered pairs 5, 1, 1, 0, and 1/5 negative 1. Just switch them around. So the graph for the log base 5 would go like this. And it's going to ask domain and range. It's going to ask asymptote. And I don't care if you just write y-axis on this. And it also asks for the only intercept, which would be 1, 0. Okay? The little worksheet I printed up has a couple with shifts. I think the retake might have a shift, but if you get it right the first time and you don't have to do the retake, there's no shift. It's just like this. Very basic, okay? Because you don't get a calculator, so I'm not going to give you something crazy. I just want you to find me 3 ordered pairs and make the right shape. I want you to know that a logarithm goes that way. Exponential graph, like 3 to the x, should be going this way. That's it. Yep.
On page 166, there's a problem with a girl who gets a raise at the end of each year under her salary.
Which question is this?
Number 33.
I'm thinking just that it's going to grow exponentially. So you'd have like the 1 plus, okay? I'm so glad I record this period because nobody else all day has had a single question. And that's not even helpful. Okay. So number 32 on page 166. It says she's getting a 3.5% raise at the end of each year. So I'm thinking you do 1 plus 0.035. It says she starts working in 94, earning a salary of $31,000. What is her salary in 2004? I think we got to be careful. Well, I'm not going to be that picky. I don't know what the book did. But if 1994 was her first year working, she didn't get a raise yet, right? So you'd go 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. So 6 years, but that's what you'd get if you just subtract it anyway. So I just always get confused. And then 8, it also asks for her salary in 2004, which would be 8 years. And then it asks in 20, what her salary would be in 2024, which would be if she worked there 30 years. Okay? Yep. Anybody else stuck yet?
For the problem on page 171,
Yes.
like from 150, are they like considered payments or are they?
Oh, it's an annuity question? Yes. I know what you're asking. Let me switch to that one. The first few questions here, it says find the future value of an annuity where you're making a payment of. So I set up number 5 on this. Does that help a little bit? So you'd be I don't like these questions because they're not monthly payments. So this one says quarterly for 8 years. So you have a really weird 8 times 4 here, and you got to put these to 4. Okay? So see if you can try. You have to do odds, I think, right? Did I pass back papers? I did, right? I just had a few papers. I think I passed them back at the beginning of class. No other pressing questions? I'm going to stop taping and start posting this.